Hello, podcast but outside Discord channel. Today I will be doing all episodes of the podcast but outside tier list thing. I'm gonna try and be a harsh critic because let's face it, they're all S tiers, but we gotta be fair. Let's start with episode 1. I put these in order. I don't know why they're not. Okay, there it is. So episode 1, they were still learning, but it definitely wasn't a bad episode. It was very classic. There was John Hamm and Reverse Waterfall. There was good stuff in this, so I think it's a solid C tier. Now, that's not to say it's like the worst, but it's certainly not one of the better ones. No offense, Andrew and Cole, if you watch this. Episode 2, where is this? There it is. This one, with the garbage cleaner lady and the air stewardess. This is a good one. It's definitely B or A. It's probably one of the more rewatchable episodes, in my opinion, especially if you want to try and get a new viewer. I think watch this one. I'll put it in A. You know, there are better ones, but this is a very good episode. Episode 3. Again, another very, very good episode. With the man that was going to Spain or whatever, I forgot his name. I think it was something. He was good though. That's a good episode. I think that's also an A tier. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put that in B and that one in A, because that one is actually better than episode 2. So as you can see, there's very steady progression here. I'm sure it will drop eventually. No offense, Andrew and Cole, or anyone else in the Discord. I love you all. Okay. Episode 4, where are you? There it is. Oh, okay, this is the yin episode. I mean, do I need to describe myself? It's the yin episode. That's obviously an S. There was the political guy and the guy that tried to get run over by a car. Wasn't so into that, but that was very good, if not only for yin. Also, the location of that episode and the theme song for that episode, I think, were all very good, if I remember correctly. It's been a while, but that's a good one. Episode 5, the nightclub. This was I felt like this is when they started. They, as in Andrew and Cole, was when they started to put a gimmick on the episodes. Like, oh, let's put a gimmick on. This is the nighttime one. While it was still a very good episode, it was very chaotic, and I get some people like that, if not prefer that to the regular ones. I'm more a purist in like setting and just meeting randoms, which this happens here, but there's just too many people. I think it was a bit too chaotic, so I'm gonna put it in B. That's just what I feel. That's a B. Episode 6. Okay, episode 6. I'll be honest. That girl, the comedian girl, I wasn't a fan of her. I felt like she was trying to turn it into her show. I didn't find her very funny. I get she does stand-up, but I don't know, that episode just wasn't memorable to me outside of that episode. I mean, that episode wasn't memorable to me outside of that guest, and she wasn't very good, in my opinion. So I'm honest, that's going to be our first D. Sorry to say, that's our first D. Okay, episode 7, Gavin. Now, Gavin was chaotic in a good way, where episode 5 was chaotic in a chaotic way. This was chaotic. It was chaotic, but also the episode didn't really feel like it had a path. Like, it didn't, other than just having Gavin there, it didn't feel like there was much of an edge to it. You know, it was just, oh, let's have Gavin here and see what he does. But, oops, I accidentally dropped it. But, I don't know, Gavin was still alright. I'm going to put it in C, because it's definitely better than 6, but I think it was worse than 5. Okay. 8. This was Surprising the Fan. Now, everything in this episode was great, except for the fan itself. in my opinion. The fan meetup itself was just weird, but the episode as a whole very good. That's just an average good episode. I'm gonna put that in B. 9, Site Privilege. This is a classic. This is definitely A tier, like no question. The Site Privilege episode is top tier, or not top tier, but it's very good. Where are we? Episode 10. There it is. Now this one, I feel like I wasn't a huge fan of the gimmick of, oh, let's get Andrew's girlfriend. I get that that's a bit that runs through future episodes, like the Tinder ones and whatever. But I feel like it was a step down from just the, oh, this is a real guest. Not that it was bad. She was still very interesting once she stopped playing the role of Andrew's ex. I think B, because it's definitely a step down from that, but it's not like a bad episode by any means. Episode 11. Okay, this episode holds a special place in my heart because it was the first episode that came out when I started watching, because I binged the first 10 episodes and then I was a fan, right? Because, you know, I only discovered it here. So this one holds a special place in my heart, so I might rank it higher than usual. But I think the editing on this episode is superb. The guest host was funny. I forgot her name, but she was funny. There's 2 girls that came up, and there was the photos of Lady Gaga. That was great. I think this episode is really one of the best ones, and I'm going to put it in S. That may be controversial, but to put it on the same tier as Yin, but I think it was deserving to be an S tier. Episode 12, E3. E3 wasn't bad, but I don't think it was a too good of an episode. Like, it was very funny, but I felt like the people that were the guests didn't really want to be there. They didn't have very interesting stories to tell. Now, that's not Andrew and Cole's fault, obviously, but I feel like just the overall, other than the first guest that was like an actual radio presenter or whatever, he was good, but everyone else that was there, I don't know, it just felt a little off to me. It's still a good episode. It's still not bad at all, because none of these episodes are bad. I want to make that clear. None of these episodes are bad. But some are lower than others. So I'm going to put that in C. Episode 13. This wasn't bad. There were a lot of fun guests. The Patreon episode for this one is better. I can't talk about that though because I'm paying to know that information. So if anyone's watching this and you don't support their Patreon, suck my ass. I will put this in... I'll put this in C as well. Okay. Not much to say about that one. 14. This episode was just fine. It had the frat bros, which were pretty funny, but obviously quite obnoxious. And it had Gabe. Gabe was a good guest. Now, not often do you get planned guests that are amazing, in my opinion. I think sometimes they're pretty forced, but Gabe came across very good. He knew what he was doing. He is a comedian. He knew how to play the camera and everything. With the bat and everything in the thumbnail. He was definitely good. I'm going to put this one in A tier because it had a lot of memorable moments. And that's, I think, what you want in these episodes. Episode 15, I think, was the best of the Vegas trilogy. So, wherever I put this one, the other 2 Vegas need to be below it because this is the best of the Vegas. Actually, I'm just going to put this one straight up in A tier because I just think it's very good overall rounded episode. It's one of the ones you would show someone to get them interested in the show. I know I've said that before, but I do believe that. 16. I don't remember what episode 16 was. You know what? I think I need to look up the title to that one, because I can't tell what that one is from the thumbnail. Give me just a moment. I'm getting my phone up. Okay. Podcast, but outside. Episode 16. Let's see what this one is. It's probably a great episode and I'm just forgetting it. Oh, this is the one with the Irish girl, and they went back to the original location. Okay, this was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it, but it was just an average episode. It was bog standard. There wasn't like a gimmick. There wasn't a guest, but that's a good episode to me. I think that's a B. That's just classic good podcast but outside. It's not over the top. It's not a bit iffy. It's just good. Episode 17, The Rave. I wasn't a huge fan of The Rave, only because it was a bit loud, it was a bit messy, it was a bit crazy. But I guess that's what they're going for, so I shouldn't really judge that too heavily on that. I'll put it in C. I was gonna put it in D just because I wasn't a huge fan of the setting, the vibe. But yeah, that's a C tier video if you ask me. It would have been D, but I feel like, especially if you include the Patreon bonus from this episode, which again, follow their Patreon, podcast but outside. You should follow their Patreon, because there was a pretty crazy interview there. If that interview was a part of that episode, I would probably put it up to a B. But let's see. Okay, 18. This one is good, but it is worse than that one. Only by a hair, though. So I'm gonna put it. I'll also put it in A. I'll also put it in A. That's another one of the Vegas trilogy, if you can't tell. It was a good episode. Not as good as 15, but it's not B tier. I don't think it's B tier worthy. Episode 19. I'm probably gonna get some mad flack for this one, but I think this is one of the worst episodes, honestly, because it was almost entirely scripted guests, and I'm not personally a fan of that. If there's too many scripted guests, it feels just a bit wrong. It doesn't feel natural, But well over half this episode was just scripted. Not that the interviews themselves were scripted, it's just like planned guests, you know what I mean? I'm sure you get what I mean. And that's just not appealing in the episodes to me. Again, this is my personal opinion. Okay, episode 20. Very fun. Actually, you know what? All the fucking Las Vegas episodes are up here. They're all good, but 15 is the best of them. That was very memorable with that woman, and that's their standing episode. So that you got to commend them for that. That was interesting. They had to stand. Yeah. Episode 21, I was not a fan of episode 21 very much at all. I think the editing felt a little off on that one, and I can't really put my finger on why. It just felt a bit off. And I'm debating between C and D. I think I'm going to put it in D. It just wasn't very memorable. The guests that came on weren't very interesting to me. The setting of the episode, like the background, was a bit too boring. Like, it wasn't memorable. I can barely picture it. So that's definitely a D tier. I think that or episode 19 is definitely the worst episode. Again, Andrew and Cole, if you see this, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. Episode 22 with Garrett Watts. Now, I had never heard of this man before this episode, and I still haven't watched any of his content since. But that episode wasn't too bad. I think in front of the movie theater, you got a fair amount of funny guests. You got the skater kids. That was just a very good episode. I'm going to put that in B. Tinder. Tinder is a classic episode. I think this one's going to go down in the books as a great. So I might put that in S. Oh, maybe not. You know what? Yeah, I'll put Tinder in S. It's hard to explain. But it was, despite that one being so scripted, it was very chaotic. It was chaotically scripted. Not in the way that Gavin's was chaotically scripted, but in the way that, it was only scripted because they knew the girls were coming, And it is set up to many callbacks and, inside jokes in later episodes. It was a good one. I think it was a very good one. Episode 24. I wasn't a huge fan of episode 24, honestly. Maybe a controversial opinion, but I wasn't a huge fan. I think they lent too heavily on the Burning Man, which I get was the gimmick of this episode, but it just, I felt they lent into it too much, and it also felt too much like the Garrett episode, you know, because Garrett was the same location, there were the skater kids and everything. It was like the same episode, but they replaced Garrett with the Burning Man content. So because it felt almost like a repeat episode with the gimmick, I'm going to put that in C. Because it wasn't strictly worse than, I guess it was strictly worse than the Garrett episode, but it wasn't, it was the same, but with a different twist. And it's like they just copied it like 2 episodes later. Not a fan, but better than these 3. Okay, what's next? 25, it's hard to tell because the thumbnail's a bit fucky there. Okay, this episode, I'm not even a fan of Little Xan, I'll put it out there. But this episode was amazing. It had so many twists, so many turns. Every second there was something new. That's definitely an S tier video. Regardless who you talk to, that's an S tier. I'm just gonna zoom in a little more because I can see I can see my cropping is getting a bit fucky on my OBS in the corner there. Okay, wedding episode. Do I need to say more? That's an S. Easy an S. This is getting very even. Actually, this is like a very even amount in every tier, which is not how I planned it out. I thought there would have been a lot more S's and A's compared to how many B's and C's there are, but you know, that's the name of the game. Berkeley. I think Berkeley was a pretty good episode, and I think it's probably one of the more underrated episodes. I think the audience and the crowd that were around, the college students, was very interesting. But I don't know, it was just... I'm not very good at commentary. I've just found that out. But yeah, I would put that in B. It definitely wasn't bad. It wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't bad. That's a B. 28. Good episode. But I think what's her face, the porn star. Actually, no, I'll put it in B because that's an indescribable episode. Let's just put it at that. That episode's pretty fucking wild. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna put it in C. It was fucking wild, but it was a bit fucking weird too. Yeah. Fucking wild, but fucking weird at the same time. It's 3 a.m. by the way. So yeah. Episode 29. Where would I put episode 29? Episode 29 was good. There were a lot of good bits in it. I would put this in A. Episode 29 was a very good episode that was just almost entirely random, like passerbys, and that's what you want in a good podcast but outside episode. There's a lot of good passerbys, but not excuse me. A lot of good passerbys, not too heavy of a gimmick. They did the movie gimmick. That episode I found myself laughing out loud to quite a lot. And I think that's definitely one of the more rewatchables. That's definitely an A tier. Episode 30, which only came out like 2 hours ago, my time. I guess everyone's time, because it gets released like worldwide. This was very funny. It was a little underwhelming, personally. The setting was amazing because it was so unique, but it wasn't too gimmicky. Like, it was a beach, but that was it. You know, it wasn't like, whoa, we went to Burning Man, or, you know, something like that. It was fine. I'm going to put it in B. We'll see how that one stands up over time, but that's just where I'm going to put it for now. Okay, that's my my podcast, but outside the tier list. It's pretty interesting results. If you disagree with me, fellow Discord members, I'll send you a link of the tier thing, and you can make your own, because I'm curious to see where other people stand on this issue. It's very, it's a hot issue. See you guys maybe in another 30 episodes, or maybe I'll just expand upon this list in, like, every week, or maybe, like, every 10 episodes. We'll see. Thanks for watching.